Traug Keller is ESPN's Senior Vice President, Production Business Divisions, and he leads 3 business units of the company: ESPN Audio, ESPN Local, and ESPN Talent Office. For ESPN Audio, Traug oversees all aspects of the business, including talent staffing, national programming content, scheduling, and event production. Across all platforms, ESPN Audio offers more than 9,000 hours of talk and event content annually, reaching nearly 24 million listeners per week on more than 450 stations. Wow. Please welcome Traug Keller.
Thanks. No, I'm not a millennial, but
Almost millennial.
I have them living in my house.
You have you
Yes.
imported some? You have some specimens.
They come and go.
They're in cages, are they?
Yes.
You have said
Free range. I actually have free range millennials.
free range millennials. That's awesome. You know, that would be a great name for a show, by the way. Free range millennials. I think there's a podcast already. It was just published in the past 5 seconds.
I'm sure there was.
You have said there's no better time to be in the audio business. Talk to me about that. Why is that?
Sure. I mean, I probably believe that as much as anything. A while back, I want to say a little bit more than a decade ago, we made the conscious decision that we're in the audio business, right? We do make audio content. And as people were kind of talking and the numbers were starting to slow down and you'd read about the troubles that the big radio companies were having, I started saying, my God, look, the computer, look, satellite radio, look, the phone. All these devices just became more places people could listen, more opportunities for listening. So we made the conscious decision that we would be audio everywhere. So wherever sports fans had the opportunity to listen, we wanted to make sure our product would be there so they could listen. So it has fed a business that has grown successfully, despite kind of the doom and gloom certainly around terrestrial radio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why is now the time to be in the audio business? Why is it now?
I mean, look, you've got, whether it's Pandora, and by the way, congratulations on this conference, because I've gone to a few where it's just, it's the NAB or it's the RAB, but you're missing people from Pandora or Spotify or Slacker. This kind of brings everybody together. We're all in the audio business, and there are not many places that I've seen do that. So even the trades don't even do it that way. It's crazy. It really is good to see. But the question was, why now?
Yeah, why now?
Why now? Because of all these opportunities, right? So to be able to create good audio content, get it on Slacker, get it on iTunes Radio, get it on Sirius XM, it just increases your audience. So it's been, we've seen our audience do nothing but grow. We've seen a demand of our good audio content on television. So we've taken Mike and Mike, and we simulcast them. I remember when we did this, we started them on ESPN News, and everybody said, well, aren't you afraid you were going to cannibalize the audience? All it did was increase the audio portion, the audio listening for Mike and Mike, because it exposed new people to the show who can't always be in front of a television but knew it was on radio, so it grew. And so we've done that with the Dan Le Batard show. We're doing it locally. The Michael Kay show in New York is simulcast on Yes. Right here in Los Angeles, our morning block is going to be simulcast on the Time Warner Sports Network.
It's interesting you say that, because once, not that long ago, Dave Ramsey said to me, every time we put out a new form, our content in a new form, we worry about it cannibalizing the pre-existing form, and every time it adds to the total audience.
Absolutely. Steve Jobs was asked the same thing about the iPad. Aren't you worried it's going to cannibalize the iPhone?
I'm going to guess he said no.
Right.
In the wake of talent churn, this is just a practical fact of life. Colin Cowherd, Scott Van Pelt, Bill Simmons.
No, Scott's doing the. He's doing the Midnight Sports Center.
Okay, right. Bill Simmons, though, and Colin. What is ESPN's strategy on talent retention and acquisition? Is the goal to have fewer superstars at that level and more mid-range people that are maybe easier to control? What's the goal going forward?
No, we have over 1,000 talent at ESPN. We are extremely comfortable in who we have on our air. Some come, some go. We're quite confident that the number of platforms that we offer talent, from being the largest radio network to the largest digital sports network to the largest linear television network to the largest, it goes on and on. We offer great platforms which attract great talent. And our roster is strong. I think you read about us a lot because people like to write about us, but no, we're not making any decisions about who we pick. We just want the best people, right?
So you continue to want the best people.
Always want the best people.
Let's talk about the on-demand element of what you do. How many downloads are there every month for Podcast On Demand, and how are you monetizing that content?
Okay, so just this morning, I got the May numbers, and we set a record in May with 41.5 million downloads, podcasts. That was the third month in a row of record numbers. It's coming off of a year, 2015, of 366 million downloads. So look, right before our very eyes, this podcasting thing is exploding. There is no question about it. I mean, you have the millennials up here. I have them in my house. I have a 23-year-old. All he does is he listens to a ton of audio. It's all through podcasts, right? So, so of the 41 million we just that were downloaded in May, 16 million of those were the Dan Le Batard Show at 5 million, Mike and Mike at 4 million, and the rest of our daytime lineup, making up about a third of that. The others were unique podcasts. Okay. So some of it is basically I call it audio on demand. Sometimes podcast is a little bit of a misnomer.
Talk about that for a second.
Well, the Le Batard Show is a great example. It's a younger skewing show, but it's on from 10 to 1. And for the life of us, we couldn't figure out why are the podcasting numbers going like this? Oh, people are downloading it and listening to it on their drive home. So it's just being able to create the ease of being able to listen to what you want when you want.
So when you say podcasting, that it's a misnomer, what do you mean?
I mean that it's really audio on demand. It's listening to it when you want to listen to it, right? So it's time shifting. It's all those things.
So in other words, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just I want the show
when I
want the show.
It doesn't matter what you call it, and it's growing.
Okay.
By the way, breaking news.
Here we go.
No, hold on, I gotta bring this up because you're asking about monetization.
Yes.
So out this morning in Ad Week, is a headline. Comcast says people prefer ads in podcasts over any other digital medium. Advertisers might want to listen up. A new report says that if people have to receive ads, they'd rather hear them in podcasts. So I suggest you read it. It's in Ad Week this morning. For all of you interested in monetizing podcasts, I think you'll find it helpful in your
Interestingly,
arsenal.
in the research that I showed yesterday, one of the things that I didn't show was people evaluating different platforms, the advertising on different platforms, and uniformly the advertising on podcasting rated higher than the advertising on online radio or on terrestrial radio, interestingly, along those lines.
Yeah, we are now having all of our talent do live drop-in ads into the podcasts, right? So that we're going to do more live reads, which will help our friends at Veritone, who we are partnered with. But we're going to use. We've seen the best results for our advertisers when the folks doing the content, uninterrupted for a 6-minute commercial block, read a commercial live in the content they're doing. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to extend that to almost all of our podcasts.
How else? What are some other ways that you're monetizing?
We just did a. We've launched into storytelling. So the most recent example of that was the Dunkumentary series we did with. With Dunkumentaries with David Jacoby, an audio history of the dunk, starting with D. Brown and Reebok and the Texan in the 1936 Olympics was the first dunk for you trivia hounds out there. Anyway,
that's a native podcast. That's pure podcast.
That's
right?
Pure podcast. And so what we did was we went to SeatGeek, and we said, hey, we're doing this. And SeatGeek told the story of a couple trying to get seats to an event in a 5-part series with the 5-part documentaries. So I think creativity is going to be a key piece. Just by the way, just like it has always been with radio, right? I mean, radio has never monetized itself to the level that television has. There's a lot of things running against it, mostly the economics of it all, right? The margins are fatter in video ads. But TV, we know radio, all the people in this room know radio is an effective medium, audio is an effective medium. But I think it's lacked of creativity on delivering the commercials. It's relegated usually in an ad agency to the most junior copywriter, right? I think it certainly deserves more attention than that, and I think it's incumbent on us in the industry to make a difference there.
Okay. What has to change for on-demand podcasting to unlock more dollars from advertisers, from your perspective?
It's one of the reasons when we made that decision long ago to be kind of everywhere there's audio, with the notion that, hey, look, digital audio, if we build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. And that has happened on the digital side. On the podcasting side, I believe the same thing. These numbers are starting to be eye-opening, eye-popping, and it's starting to get written about everywhere. So I think that you will see a natural growth there. The biggest thing is measurement, right? Uniform measurement. We are absolutely working with some of the major measurement companies, research companies. I'll name no names, but we are taking a lead role here in making sure that hurdle gets leapt.
How successful have you been in monetizing on demand to date? Can you quote any numbers?
I cannot.
Okay.
But I will tell you.
Success?
I will tell you. Yes. I will say that, especially since I'm out here in Disney World, I definitely can't say any numbers, but I can tell you that I'll be shot. There'll be a sniper somewhere.
Oh, the whole world is Disney World. Come on.
That's right. But I will tell you.
There's
this.
snipers on the Bill Simmons billboard right outside the window.
Yeah, I was going to put a mustache on that and maybe a black eye. It's healthy. It's healthy, and look, we've had good growth in our radio business and our audio business, and that good growth has been fueled by podcasting and digital audio. I don't think you can separate them, right? It's all.
Does the success of on demand stoke interest in listening over the air?
I will tell you, we are certainly promoting our on-the-air listening on the podcasts. When you've got 40 million downloads in a month, we are certainly telling those, by the way, those folks that are downloading the Low Post, Zach Lowe's NBA deal, at a tune of 2 million a month, we're telling those folks that, hey, listen, go listen to Stephen A. Smith's radio show on Sirius XM, or go listen to the Dan Le Batard show on ESPN Radio, on your local ESPN radio affiliate. So we're using that to promote. Another thing I didn't mention about being bullish about the whole audio business is now you've got the ability to evoke listening. So not last year, but the year before, there were 7 games in the World Series, and before the first pitch, 15 million people on TuneIn got an alert saying, click here, listen to ESPN Radio's live coverage of the 7th game of the World Series. And 30 million on the ESPN app got that, and it was 1 click away. So all of a sudden, we were able to tell 50 million people, 1 click away, wow, listen to this. So you ask me why I'm bullish? I mean, you couldn't do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Let's talk about the mobile space, because you told me something last night that I think nobody knows yet, but I think I'm allowed to say this, so I'm just going to say it before you stop me. The ESPN audio app is going away, you said.
Yes, absolutely. Sunsetting. Patrick's in the back there. Next month? July? Yes.
And
moving, it's already moved to the ESPN app, right? So all ESPN, on the ESPN app, 70 million, we've got 70 million people who have downloaded the app. It's one button right at the bottom with headphones.
So here's what's interesting about that to me. You made once upon a time the transition from ESPN Radio to ESPN Audio. Now you're making the transition from ESPN Audio to brand ESPN. What does that transition signal?
It just makes sense. It signals that we're logical thinkers, right?
Meaning?
Meaning that we might as well be in a place where everyone is congregating around ESPN. Look, we're at ESPN. We are platform agnostic. I love bringing clients up and affiliates up to Bristol, because you come up there and it's a giant ingestion plant of sports content from all over the globe coming in the printed word, digital, audio, video. It's taken in and then it's pushed out on all these different platforms. The unifying thing are those 4 letters ESPN and a certain brand recognition and a certain brand responsibility.
That makes a lot of sense. With sports broadcast video distribution at an all-time high, people can get more video of more live sports in more places than ever. On numerous platforms, should we expect audio numbers to decrease for live sports broadcasts? In other words, if I can get video of live play-by-play in more and more places, is that consumption going to be drawn in part from audio? And does that mean that rights fees will be less valuable for audio?
Now, I'll start with the last piece first. Will rights fees be less valuable
Audio
for
play-by-play.
audio or for play-by-play? I would say no, and that'll lead into the other answer, but I will say yes when rights fees do not include digital streaming, right? So we have digital streaming in our Major League Baseball deal. We have digital streaming in our new NBA deal. We have digital streaming with the College Football Championship. If you don't have those components, then I'd say yes, because it's part of where the medium is going. It is audio, so you have to have that. And as far as video taking away, it reminds me of a great Charlie Osgood file once. Charlie Osgood did a piece where he basically said, if someone came along today and invented a medium that allowed you to be entertained, informed, all that stuff without being encumbered by the picture, they'd be hailed a genius, right? It was a great Osgood file. And I will tell you that on any given Sunday night in the summer, if you put a satellite over the United States and took a picture, and you saw the number of cars on the road, it's a big number. And you extrapolated out the number of sports fans in those cars, and you have one game on Sunday night, it's Sunday Night Baseball, you can figure it out for yourself. The same is true with the World Series, the same is true with the College Football Championship. At any given moment, there are a zillion people on the move doing other things that they can't necessarily be in front of a screen. We're never going to replace the great experience of being in front of a big screen and a big game. But I'll tell you what, we help a lot of people out that can't be, and there are a lot of those folks.
And that live sports audio was one of the things that created radio in the first place.
That's
if you
right.
Go back far enough.
Yep.
With ESPN streaming and the content available in so many places on Sirius, internet platforms, etc., it decreases the value of exclusive content for affiliates in that it literally makes that content no longer exclusive, right? This is the same problem NPR has with podcast content that also occurs as radio shows.
Yep.
What do you say to affiliates? Why shouldn't affiliates be up in arms just as some of the NPR affiliates are?
Well, our affiliates, and actually we have a couple of them here. I think Ryan Hatch from Bonneville is here, Gordy from Louisiana, and I think we have our South Bend affiliate here. Our affiliates are very important partners. We provide them a brand locally that allows their sales folks to go out and sell. First of all, how many people in this room have ever sold radio? You know how hard that. So it's a lot. You know how hard that is. You are selling the invisible. When you go knock on a car dealer's door and you say you represent ESPN, you take one of the objections of what radio is off the table. It's tangible, people know it, they understand it. So we provide value. You know what, we provide major sports events for our affiliates. We are working, we formed an affiliate board. We're working to figure out the relationship because it's evolving. We're doing an experiment in Cleveland with a name you'll recognize, Craig Karmazan, Mel's son, who actually owns radio stations, and then he affiliates them with ESPN. And we're doing a partnership, which is an experiment of sorts in Cleveland, where they're actually taking our inventory. So they're ESPN on the street, right? They're selling ESPN radio locally. They take our network programming. They have some local programming. But we're also letting them sell our digital inventory that can be targeted for Cleveland. And so they're taking that inventory and repping it and selling it, and so far it's been a very good business venture for them, and it's a new way that we'll be looking at our affiliates as we start to go forward as true partners in the market locally. So if you look at it in the traditional sense, yeah, there's some bumps, but we're saying, hey, very important. 94% of America still listens to those sticks out there. Let's be smart with this brand, what we have to offer, and how we can partner there.
So fast forward a year, 2 years, what does ESPN Audio look like?
I think it'll continue to evolve. I think you'll find us with even a couple of more partners out there in the big world. I think for a clue, listen to ESPN Radio on the weekends. Listen to people like Will and Kate. Listen to Sarah Spain, Michelle Beadle. I will tell you the next opportunity in the genre that we play in are women. Women are becoming more and more sports fans. They have been incredibly underserved. And I think by giving a diverse set of talent on the weekend, their 10,000 hours to get good, I think you'll see a changing face of ESPN Radio, and including our Hispanic business, ESPN Deportes Radio. Mm-hmm. We've been really happy with that. I'll tell you what, it wasn't incredible out of the box, but like everything else, and you people in this room know, you have to let things bake in radio. And you give it time, you believe in it, and it starts to happen, and it's happening for us there.
Last question: what kind of advice would you give to the people in the radio space? We've had a lot of conversation about the challenges to traditional broadcast. What kind of advice would you give to them going forward, as someone who is at the heart of one of the legendary brands in America?
Content. I think Valerie said it yesterday. You can't say it enough. You can't focus on it enough. I think that got lost somewhere in the deregulation of the medium. I think it'll never change. It's about content. If you put out good content, the numbers are there. People they will come. If they come, your smarter salespeople will be able to figure out how to monetize it. That is it. Content.
Everybody, thank Traug Keller from ESPN. Thank you, sir.